Welcome to our special budget meeting for Monday, February the 6th. We're at 6:32. I'd like to begin by respectfully acknowledging resides in the traditional territory, ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, including the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Chippewa, and the people of the Three Fires Confederacy. These traditional territories upon which we live, work, play, and learn are steeped in rich Indigenous history and traditions. And it is with this statement that we declare to honor and respect past and present connection of Indigenous peoples with this land, its waterways, and resources. And we encourage residents to review the call to action information, which can be found on the website that I think we can post for the online groups. Just a standard reminder to members declaring community interest that you may have. Jump right in. So really, the main focus of tonight is going to be to review the budget. This will be council's opportunity to make any additions or subtractions to the draft staff budget that we received last week. I should say as well that Councilor Bernardo is under the weather, so he won't be joining us tonight, and Deputy Mayor Hall is out of the country at work. So with a short staff, we'll make it through. And before we get into this, I just want to say, I mean, from my perspective, I think staff has done an incredible job with the draft this year. In my mind, it's a draft budget that's respectful of the fact that we are in difficult economic times, so it's lean, and I think it's not adding to the pressure that is being felt by the ratepayers. Inflation rate is everything else. So I think all things considered, it's a responsible budget, but it's one that's not overreaching. And I'm quite happy with the draft as it is. We'll have discussion to see if anybody else wants to make any comments. I think what we'll do, just to keep things organized, we'll go through the water and sewer budget first, because I suspect that may be a pretty quick process. And then when we flip over to the operating budget, I think we'll just go through department by department. Sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we'll do the CAO's report first before we jump into the budget. But anyways, all of that preamble is to say when we get to the budget, we'll go through department by department. I don't think it's necessary to go through a line by line discussion, because it is a pretty clean budget, but we'll sort of hit the high points for each department. So before we get into that, I will turn it over to our CAO. She has a report included on the agenda regarding estimated costs for cricket. I trust everybody's had a chance to review the report. Are there any questions for Denise? Okay. And the mover and seconder then?
No questions.
No questions, okay. Moved by Councilor Shardy, second by Councilor People. All in favor? Carried. All right. Okay, on to the budget. So water and sewer first. Anything either from the operating or capital budgets that anybody wanted to discuss? Didn't really think that we'd be on the water and sewer side, so I thought maybe start with those to get that out of the way. That would be good. Okay. All right, so on to operating. So we'll start with you want to do capital first, sure. Okay, so that's the smaller of the two for the packages. I've got to look at it. So like I said, we'll just go through kind of department by department. General government services, is there anything in that section? We want to chat about? Planning and development. That includes PC. Bylaw protection. Roads, public works. Water and sewer capital projects. Health and social services, which is the cemetery. Right. Recreation, capital projects. Councilors.
Not just necessarily a question, it's just maybe an update from you guys if you guys haven't heard. But the pool underground is starting to let go, starting to leak. So we had a company come in and take a look at it. The estimated, just to kind of blank us through the system, is like $160,000. That's without any digging any holes. So, Orangeville started at an estimate of 2 million. They're at 6 million now because they found building structure issues and hidden everything underneath once they started doing all this. This came up in our last CDRC meeting, so I've asked for the minutes to be sent to us ASAP, but I assume they haven't been yet. So, just to let everybody know that's coming somewhere, somehow, shape, form. It's going to be messy.
Is it like piping systems or the actual foundation?
No, it's the piping. They don't know how long it's been leaking. So with it leaking, if it's leaking for a long time, then you can have ground sinkage, everything can be happening, so. And that's what's happening in Orangeville right now, is they're finding all this hidden stuff after they start digging it apart, so. So I just thought to bring it up so everybody's aware of it. The plan is for CDRC to eat into everything we possibly have to get it up and running for this year, but we don't know for sure until we start into it, so. Company coming back in again. There's probably not a lot left in the CDRC monies anyways, right? So after the group's all done and everything, so. But it's fairly, I'm just afraid that it's fairly extensive, so. What we're gonna do or how we're gonna handle it or anything as of yet, because I don't have anything concrete to give anybody yet for that, so I wanted to give everybody a heads up.
Is there a plan on when they're gonna dig to find out the extent of?
Well, we gave the go ahead for them to come in and start doing their investigation work to see what might entail. But with ground freezing and equipment having to go in, they gotta start sooner or later. If they start later, then we're not gonna have a pool this year, so. They can let it be, and we just let it run, and fingers are crossed that there's no issues. Well, there will be issues, but there's no major issues causing this to happen, but there is ground water that came from the pool now. So that's a fairly big hole there. So yeah, so I don't know. Just so everybody's kind of aware of it and what's coming. And until we get a better idea of what's happening with it, then it's coming, it's there, so.
What was the initial estimate?
160.
Is there an engineer? SBA?
That's just for them to come in and start looking and repair what they think is wrong without doing any actual digging. So it could be a lot higher once they come in and say, this is the actual problem, and do that. So by pressurizing the systems, what they did, and I talked with the building manager at CDRC, and the amount of water that we're losing in the summer, they figure it's just this, but they won't know until they go in. It's fairly close to the building, so you can end up with structural damage too. That's what happened in Orangeville too, right? The water's down on the sides. So everyone's aware.
We won't shoot.
Yeah, well, I will. That's all we can do, right? So that's it. So you're supposed to be coming back, sending emails out as soon as these guys come in and take a look at it. So,
Capital at CPRC is funded on a pro-rata basis as well, right?
loss of water. Yeah. So what happens is we get loss of water, and then the tiles on the inside will start to deteriorate, like goes, so you know there's something happening behind the scenes, get a lot of moisture in the tile works.
Sure. Just a quick question about the 2024 and 2025 budgets for parks and recreation. Okay, trying to stop. Okay, so 2024 projected for parks and recreation. Does that include the anything from the projected plan for the strategic park plan that we saw in the summer? None of that, that's just strictly maintenance and.
I'll just address what doesn't. So that if we look at the cost
Yeah.
The Parks and Recreation Master Plan, none of those projected costs are in this budget. So what that means is that when we come back with that plan through the GSP, there'll be a whole series of capital projected costs, townwide and Little Park specific. So what we then have to do is a number of things. We can identify what is truly growth related that would allow us to use development charges for those aspects. And then the other ones would have to be looked at literally within a 5-year capital project to identify the priorities of council and what you're going to fund, and whether or not there would be any other type of offsetting when you do funding through provincial executive grants or other things. But that truly is going to be, yes, sponsorships. That will be something that council will really have to spend time evaluating, because I mean, we're honest, we know that some of the concept plans for Fiddle Park alone will be multi-million-dollar infrastructure improvement costs. So the good news is, yes, there will be great projects to look at, but it's not included in this number.
Okay, great, thanks.
Or any.
Everybody's good with capital?
Just a reminder that the capital budget is fundable. Reserves, grants. None of the projects in capital budget are affecting taxes.
All right. So we'll do the same sort of thing with the operating budget and so general government. Good. So, yeah, committees, which is listed in page 60. So DEI is there. We had talked in the past, the 15,000. That budget line. There will be a search for that. Yeah. Planning and development. Pages 17 to 22. Planning and EDC.
So I guess, is there going to be any money at all for any kind of farmers market? Like what are we? So the direction last year was that we would do it on the interim, and we spent $20,000 providing that service. This budget does not include the initiative. We've actually reinvested the part of the EDC budget to activate Jack Evans Park with music and other as an attractor. I think that what we're hoping is to have a conversation with the DIA or with the volunteer group who we ever might have to say that we didn't have any evidence, unfortunately, that the farmers market this year, and granted we started very late, was an economic driver to you. So meaning I came to the farmers market and then I went from the farmers market to support the local business. So, and it's not to say that farmers markets aren't phenomenal parts of a downtown, but we're also experiencing, and we're not alone, where farmers markets are closing. So for example, Alliston did not receive others have not received it. It's just very difficult with the very strict definitions of a farm market vendor opportunity, what you have to be approved. So we haven't continued this, we're doing it for 1 year, and we haven't come back to the council with the report. But I don't think it's a strategic element of what we established as delivering. Certainly, if we can resurrect it in the years to come, maybe, when maybe there's a wider scope, but I still believe that we can support, as the town of Shelburne, the activation of downtown through what was the intent of the farmers market, was to bring you downtown to support businesses by utilizing Jack Davis Park in a very strategic way. We know that one of the most, I guess, well-received part of the farmers market is the music. That many people like the music, so that's what we intend to replicate in Jack Davis Park to encourage you to come out and then support our downtown businesses. So long way of saying no, but if somebody else wants to do it, we welcome sharing our information on what we can structure. And obviously, we're happy as well for those people looking for farmers markets, as we always are, in collaboration with Orangeville or others, to make you aware of where those opportunities exist.
Well, I think we were quite clear last year when we did agree to sort of take that on a little bit. You know, this wasn't really a long-term staff commitment. We were willing to make, and we were willing to fill in the gap for 1 year in hopes that the volunteer group might be able to get the rates back out of them. Whether that happens or not, I guess remains to be seen, but Denise, I don't think it's probably a big use staff resources, taxpayer dollars.
Not sure if that falls under that section or another section, but I'm going to throw that out there. We had talked, I guess we discontinued the facade. 22. The funding for, we need to microphone. Sorry.
So the CIP adoption that we had undertaken with our most recent report, and that is not that recent, is that we identified we had about $30,000 from the previous bylaw in the facade grant program. In order to use that money, we need to have a new funding strategy and conditions that need to be approved. But at the same time, what we're doing is we are trying to maximize those monies through an application to the red grant, which would then be a 50-50 match. So we would have $60,000 for that program. And the intent is to have a hybrid where $30,000 would be for facade improvements and $30,000 would be for accessibility, to help, I guess, enable businesses to be more accessible. If we don't get the grant from RED, which will close it probably around the end of March, and we usually hear from RED grants anywhere between April, May, June, then we would have to go back and only have the $29,000 or $29,500, unless council directed us to find other funding sources within our own budget to support that. So we still would then, I think, if we didn't get the RED grant, pursue other funding partners that we have in the past that are economic development based, such as the central counties funding. And that again is more federal and provincial partners, but we're hoping that that would be the case. And until we do, we haven't really redone the grant criteria so that local businesses can apply for some monies to help improve their facades.
Okay, so I can understand that. There's approximately 30,000 sitting in a fund
So
somewhere.
we have $30,000 that was sitting in the reserve from the previous bylaw, which went
Unspent because we didn't have a program. So we do, I can send you the report again, but we acknowledge through that report, this is how much we have. It's currently reflected in the budget, but it's not being expended until we determine if we get this grant or not.
Okay, that's fine.
So you can't spend it.
Fine.
All right, anything else in that section? All right, so the next section is protection, so it's conservation, fire, police, crossing guard, property standards, bylaw. So I guess really the one question mark here, fire. If the fire board meeting is tonight, so what should we have? Be my first. Anything else in that section?
Increase the art.
Majority of that was sport equipment.
Seems narrative. It's just usually whatever you tell us tonight is what you accept for the budget, is what goes to the public meeting, not.
I mean, my thought would be, Carrie, you know, probably interested in your thoughts. My thought would be that if the fire board does decide on a higher amount than what's listed here, then we go with the higher amount that the board has set on for the public meeting. And then if there's any discussion the council wants to have, we're actually sending that back to the fire. We could have that discussion during the discussion period of the public meeting, but at least it will accurately reflect what the current ask is. Does that make sense?
Would you want to increase the tax rate? It's 23,000.
I guess so, yeah, just increase the rate for the time being. Like for the purpose of the public meeting, and then we can discuss that, if that's what happens. Is everybody okay with that? I mean, it's always difficult. Carrie's trying to put those together. Final numbers for boards. But
Presented to the public, it's usually.
I asked a question about trust. Miscellaneous, 4,000. Money thrown into a fund just in case, or
That covers their vests.
Oh, okay.
Vests,
All
their
right.
stop signs.
okay, so that's some materials.
There's an account description at 7153 below it. Description.
President Sanz, yes, thank you.
Budget.
For professional building PPE annual training. I've been approached by a couple of crossing guards in regard to covering off their police checks.
I have to.
Yeah. I know when I had a police check, it's $131 for fingerprints because I'm the convict, I guess. But the basis, I think. So with the fingerprints, it does get quite expensive, and a lot of these crossing guards are senior citizens. That could be given there, or
I think, so through PP now, I think it's free if it's for a volunteer purpose. If it's tied to employment, which this is, they have to pay for it. And philosophically, that's kind of what I drew the line too, that, you know, yes, they have to pay for it, but it's for employment. Things that all of us have to do for money.
yeah, oh, no,
Become employed,
yeah,
you know,
no,
it's
I
very positive business. I think.
I agree with that. It's just, like some, I mean, I was surprised the base is, I think, $50-60, which is reasonable, but if they do fingerprints, that's $131. If they ask for the, yeah, they ask. your birthday or part of whatever your abstract is, that you present to the OBP, if it matches up in any way, shape, or form with, somebody who may be on watch list or have a record. So let's say, your birthday is the same as the notorious criminals.
Right.
And you record it.
Gotcha. This is really an HR matter.
Oh, okay.
So I'm happy as staff, we will have this conversation with our staff over process and certainly review what the resolution.
All right. No problem.
Anything else in that section? Public Works.
Just so everyone is aware, something new that we're doing this year, now that we have our new payroll management system, is we're identifying some fuel and gas that's being used by the department. So you'll see in bylaw, cemetery and parks, there's a new line. Line for fuel. So not all of the costs operations budget.
Good with that one?
Oh, sorry, just a question. Who does our street light maintenance? What company? Do we use a company or do we do it?
Through your worship, we use a company we just put out an RFP last year, so it's Hastings that we use now. So we do, we usually try and get a few lights before we call them in, so.
So do we, so does our staff do the auditing and then they come in or do they audit?
Yes.
Those two. Both then? We audit and they audit or just they audit?
No, we compile the list and then we give it to them. So it's staff and then any complaints that come in from the residents as well, so.
If I can just add, we actually have a standalone pull down on the website on how to report a street light.
How often do they come in here?
Through your worship, I believe it's almost monthly that we have it, not more frequent than that, but there is quite a list of them there, so I don't know what's been going on with lights lately, but we're going through quite a few of them. So, yeah.
We discussed before about switching over to LEDs as well. Is that in play right now, or are we, like, replace them as they burn out? Are we going LED, or what's the standard procedure at this point?
With any of our new developments, we've been putting LEDs in, so any new stuff. We haven't retrofitted any yet, outside of ones that are so obsolete that they have to be updated. So we've stepped them up from either metal halide or the high pressure sodium to LEDs.
Yeah, I think that was talking about new lights will be or ones that actually have these lights. Look at the cost of retrofitting the existing lights was. Storms or storm?
Boulevard trees. 5 or 4, so we have any trees are dying. Okay, replace them.
Right. Through your worship, we've had a number of trees. The Emerald Ash Board has done a number on us over the last few years, so that's taken out a substantial amount of trees. So as we're replacing, we're trying to diversify a little bit there with our list of trees, so it's not all the same variety, compact altogether. So it'll be a little more immune to disease transfer around town. So.
The notes there on page 34, you see, you mentioned 68 trees being replaced.
I saw that.
Steps as well. Gets it up to
40, are these 40 stumps? I'm assuming this is the old stock that we've got kicking around, the big trees that we've got to take down. Because of that.
In 2022, we didn't spend our whole tree budget.
Yeah,
So we are putting a little bit into the reserve.
storm sewer. Waste good there. Waste management, discussion. Cemetery. That shows the lines were-
Probably for like, let's study. Yeah, that's
Right. Right. This has heritage and arts and culture. It's- Heritage committee is 10,000. That relates back to.
Basically just to kind of bump up what we were getting because we have more plans for girls and things like that within the town, so. Try to get sponsorship as much as possible, but we really didn't have anything to facilitate that moving forward.
Should get it as well.
And the nearest culture one. Is that the same meeting that we had? That motion as well. Did you use money for 20?
So it's either the same meeting.
So I've carried forward the unused, 2022 budget. And put it into the- so really the net effect of that. For both of those, the heritage and the arts and culture. This doesn't carry forward budgets there in 2023, but there's no line budget is.
Is that something that will need to be requested, I guess, as a formal motion? Just something to for the next meeting.
Can't. So that was listed. So this section also includes the community grants.
I guess the only thing I would ask, I know one person is here from the committee that we put together to go through these. I noticed that nothing was given to the multicultural foundation, I guess you could say. So just wondering maybe why?
There was discrepancies in a bit more that was submitted. Focusing on, especially the big ask, especially. Atmosphere that we're in right now, we really have to focus on that. And in order to get to funding that we wanted to have, provide for them, we had to make sure we balance that.
I can probably just expand on that. I think when the team of council members looked at it, they had a number of questions for staff. And because there was information missing in the application, we were not able to respond to that. Also, commented to staff that they had held back an amount of money that could be utilized for any consideration in the future when the information that was requested as per the information requested for all of those submitted was provided. Does that clarify as well?
Absolutely.
Anything else in that section?
Point something out on the general revenue section. Something that has increased substantially. As well as expenses. So those two line items. Which is really helping us.
Think that everybody's good. You want to follow. Just basically forward the draft as is to our February 13th public meeting.
As is, or because we're talking about fire.
Marginally, if interest is strong to offset that. Right, so that we'll be able to retain with that increase of 1% tax rate increase, if we look at internal budget to see where.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could say something like subject to change in respect to the fire. Or like,
Just think that it won't be as accurate as possible.
Said that I don't have the library budget for. So, and in any other year, we would have talked to the budget by now anyway. So even if we don't change that figure, it's no different than when we talk budget in December and get towards budgets months later.
I just kind of think that if there is a change made, the second. Well, like I said, I think, need budget, so. That's your part. Yeah, so based on this draft, and Carrie will sure go through that again on the 13th as part of the public meeting, but based on this draft, it results in a 1% tax rate increase, which equals $26 a year for an average assessed home. $26.12 exactly. So if this budget goes forward unchanged and is adopted, then the average assessed home will see a tax increase of $26.12 this year. That's it. So, as I said in my earlier comments, I think the staff has presented as responsible and respectful of the current economic times, not adding to the pressure. It's not to say that that'll be the case for the next 3 years of this term, but given the conditions of present time, I think that's the best thing. All right, any other budget discussion before we sign? All right, motion then for the confirming bylaw. Samples, Councilor Wagner.